On problem number 15, we have an equation. And I want to be able to solve the equation. Now the first thing that I should do is that I notice that I have an x on the denominator. So my restriction, I know that my restriction, x cannot be equal to 0. Because if x is equal to 0, the denominator is 0, and that'll be undefined. I notice that this other fraction has also an x, and I'm going to factor it out. Instead of x squared, I'm going to rewrite it as x times x. Now this x is already being covered by the restriction here, and this one, it's only also covered. So therefore, we only have one restriction. X cannot be equal to 0. Now, the best thing to do whenever you have fractions as part of your equation is to multiply by the LCD to cancel the denominators, and that will make it easier to factor or to solve it afterwards. I want to cancel this x, so my LCD should have an x. On the other fraction, I want to cancel this x, which will be canceled by this one. But I also want to cancel the other one. So therefore, my LCD should have two x's. I'm going to multiply each of the fractions by x and x, x and x, x and x. On the first fraction, what cancels? Nothing. There's no denominator, so I just have an x squared. On the second fraction, one of the x's cancels, so I just have a negative 2x. On the last fraction, both x's cancel, so therefore I just have a negative 6. Now I can move the negative 6 to the left and try to factor. By just looking at the answer, I know that it cannot be factored. Since this is x squared, there's no leading coefficient, and this is an even number, I can complete the square. I'm going to make space to complete the square. So I have x squared minus 2x, leaves some space, is equal to negative 6. So I'm going to complete the square. I need to see the squares here. To find this number, I'm going to take half of b. So half of negative 2 is negative 1. And then I'm going to square it. So half of negative 2 will be negative 1. Squared gives me positive 1. Remember, what you do on one side, you need to do to the other side. I'm going to factor it out. 1, 2 is equal to negative 5. Factors of x squared will give me x and x. Factors of positive 1 will give me negative 1 and negative 1. When I multiply it out, it should give me a negative 2x. That's negative 1x. And negative 1x is negative 2x. Since both of them are the same amount, I'm going to combine them into 1. Now to get rid of the square, I'm going to take the square root on the left and on the right. So therefore I have an x. The square root and the square cancels. I have x minus 1 is equal to. I notice that there's a minus inside the square root, so therefore I need to have a I. I cannot simplify the square root of 5, but also, what did I forget? Whenever we take the square root on both sides, I'm going to have a plus or minus. One positive and one negative. The last step is to leave the x by itself, so I'm going to move my 1 to the right, becomes a positive 1. And that'll be my answer. So I'll be positive 1, non-negative, and I should have imaginary number in there since the square root was negative. So my answer is letter B.